Hello, and welcome back to the Daily Joyride podcast. I am your host, Robyn Cohen, here to fuel your day with energy, infuse it with joy, and share powerful stories that will ignite your courage, spark your spirit, awaken your perceptions, and inspire and encourage the once-in-a-cosmos you to create a life that you actually love living. So if that's your jam, buckle up and let's ride. Here we go. Hello, wonderful ones, and welcome back to the Daily Joyride. I'm Robyn Cohen, and today we're not just bringing you an interview. We are embarking on a remarkable creative adventure ride through the heart of Hollywood show business. Our guide, the illustrious Belle Zwerdling, my amazing Hollywood agent and spiritual sage for the past 23 years. Together, we are leaping behind the velvet curtains to unlock the mysteries of genuine success at the highest echelon of the entertainment industry. But first, I am so thrilled to invite you to our next transformative acting workshops beginning January 28th, where we'll blend vibrant virtual sessions with magnificent in-person experiences at our West LA Theater. And please do catch our yummy early bird special by January 6th and save $100 on acting classes as you light up your 2025 path with creative fire. Connect with me to jump in at Robyn's with a Y, at cohenactingstudio.com, and let your journey towards success be as phenomenal as you are. And now let's dive into the extraordinary insights that top-level Hollywood agent Belle Zwerdling has to offer. Prepare to be awe-inspired. Hello, and welcome back to the Daily Joyride with my very special guest, the one and only, once in a cosmos, Belle Zwerdling, who is my agent in Hollywood for, I think, Belle, that it's actually 23 and a half years.
How beautiful, how fast, and how quickly time flies. Right?
Couldn't have said it better. And a little bit about Belle, for those who don't know her yet or know her in one world or another. Belle is a key figure in the entertainment industry. She is an incredible talent agent at Progressive Artists Agency, representing actors in theater and in film and in television, some just really brilliant artists from all walks of life who have achieved some extraordinary things in this business and made some really significant and magnificent contributions in this industry. In addition to talent representation, Belle has explored creative avenues as an executive producer for the TV series, for example, Diva, Clown, Killer. And this is it's just going to get juicier. I'm just going to keep talking and it gets juicier. You, Belle, you also hold a master's degree in spiritual psychology from the University of Santa Monica, enriching your ability to offer intuitive counseling services that complement your role as an agent and enables you to guide clients not only in their professional aspirations, but also in achieving personal growth along the way. You offer intuitive counseling workshops and sessions designed to help individuals navigate life's challenges, cultivate self-awareness, and take transformative steps toward achieving their goals. That's literally like the mission statement for this entire
I love
Joyride
it. I
podcast.
think that's absolutely, it's very beautifully said, actually.
The alignment is incredible. Your workshops combine practical tools with spiritual insight, appealing to a wide range of participants who are seeking meaningful change. Here's a quote from one of your platforms that I found. A client shared, "My life is stupendous since our sessions."
Wow.
That's a quote from one of the people that you worked with and counseled.
Wow.
Belle continues to represent talent at Progressive Artists Agency while offering intuitive counseling services. combining spiritual insight and professional expertise to foster both personal and career growth in your clients. Your workshops and private sessions reflect your commitment to empowering individuals to achieve their highest potential. Ah, it's
Yeah.
so like, I'm just present to like, I feel like the luckiest lady in the universe that I've been able to be intertwined and in your world in various ways and means throughout the last couple of decades and beyond. And, I'm also present to, at the same time, the missing that along this joyride for the last 2 decades in Los Angeles, I didn't have the awareness or perceptions or readiness to connect with you and receive all of this like wisdom during some, really challenging times. In the main, probably because our relationship was a professional working relationship. You represent me, we're working in an industry, all that. But I do feel that, because I talk about you to like my students, and we talk about representation, and they're like, how do I get an agent? And I'm always like, I don't know how this miracle happened, but my agent actually has a master's degree in spiritual psychology, which is like my whole world. Like, all I want to do is be in the world of spiritualism and the divine space and the authentic everything about everyone. And so, even though we haven't been able to have, I haven't come to you, let's say, to be counseled in a traditional form, I do have the experience of that permeating, of your wisdom, of your generosity in these spiritual teachings. I do have the experience of that permeating through our entire span of our time together from the very beginning, which is an interesting story how we even started working together, but we'll get into it. And I am so appreciative that that has always already been there in the background, whether we've called it out, like we're kind of doing on this podcast, like what's the really of what's going on with us, with you. It has been such a gift to work with someone of your conscious awareness, someone that is like me. I feel seeking the best and highest in yourself and out of the people that you surround yourself with. So I just thank you for being here today. And I feel like this is like part one, that we have a part two of the Daily Joyride podcast interview coming, because there's so much to talk about. But let's dive in. Like, I'd love to hear a little more about your journey,
Mm-hmm.
getting into the world of show business, Hollywood agenting, and then grafting on this whole world of spiritualism, and how that happened and what that journey was like. And wow.
So I always wanted to be an actress. I mean, that was my passion, my yearning, my love. And I got my BFA in theater at VCU, which is Virginia Commonwealth University. And it was really, and I love theater, love theater, love theater. And it was really a choice. It was kind of like throwing up a coin and saying Hollywood, because I knew I wasn't Hollywood, or Broadway, New York. I mean, theater, theater.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I chose Hollywood. I chose California. And I came to California, and, I was an actress. I went out there and I took classes and I auditioned, and I got a test option deal to test for a series. And I was shocked when I didn't get it, actually. And I found it very isolating. And I found it, once that was over, it was just, I felt like I needed a village, and I didn't have a village, which is good representation,
Hmm.
and people that had my back, because out there, it really is lonely. I mean, you're really kind of unaware of what's going on. And unless you have really beautiful and authentic communication with the people that you work with, you don't know what's going on. I mean, you can sit in coffee shops and talk to other actors, and they may say this or that, but on the whole, you have no clue what's going on unless you have communication with your tribe.
Hmm.
And I felt like I can't I can't be out there. You know, as much as I loved it, I didn't love it enough to want to say, yeah, I'm willing to kind of give it my all. So I thought, what else can I do? So I pivoted. And in the process of pivoting, I always loved being kind of like the cheerleader. I always love being, you know, somebody who's going to have your back and tell you it's okay, and be a part of, you know, hopefully stretching you into greater and more riskier abilities that maybe you don't even know you have, but for however I am doing it, I'm seeing it and I'm able to kind of gently nurture it. You know, I know you'd like to have stories, but there is one story that as I'm saying this kind of came up, that a longtime actor who's very well known, and he's lovely, 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 and a beyond brilliant actor, always played really bad guy roles. But every time he would come into the office, he was hysterically funny. And we would say to him, you know, you should be doing sitcoms. Oh no, I can't do sitcoms. That's insane. I can't do sitcoms. I'm not that funny. And we're like, you're funny. Um, and there was a sitcom that came up, and you know, he went out on it in the day when you actually went out on auditions, and he got it. And you know, his career kind of pivoted into then doing comedy and still doing, you know, the dramatic roles, but it really was able to like expand even what he thought he was capable of doing. So I love that. I
Mm,
love being able to be the facilitator. And especially when I have a partner in my clients that are willing to do it as well. Now, when you don't have that, it's very difficult
mhm,
because I'm not able to do I can only do so much. We have to meet and be able to do it together, which means, you know, if I'm able to get you an opportunity, then you have to be prepared and you have to have your preparation down and you should go to a coach. And, you know, it is a competitive business, but it's also an opportunity. You said this a long time ago, and I say this to everybody, but it really did move me because it was so true when you said, every time I have an audition, I have a chance to activate what it is that I love so much. And you know what, Robyn? So many people don't have that consciousness. And I think that's so sad because it's not about getting the job, as we know, it's about the journey. And, you know, if you get the job, how fabulous, but it's enjoying every step of the journey. And that's about auditioning. You know, it's an opportunity for you to put your stamp on something that hasn't been out there, to put your heart into something that hasn't been out there. And you have the ability to do that. And I
mm.
always tell clients about that. It always comes up in conversations, and I always give you the credit for saying that because it really was from a place of pure passion. So,
Wow.
so anyways, that's how it
Thank
all
you.
started.
Thank you for sharing that piece. I, on the daily, have to remember that truth that I spoke to you in a moment of consciousness, because as you said, there can be, and there certainly has been for me as well, a kind of go at it aloneness at times, which
Hmm.
is pure suffering. I mean, it's pure suffering. It's painful physically, bodily, spiritually, emotionally. And the process of of being an actor, no matter how much you enjoy it and love it and crave it, can be excruciating. And, you know, I, like you, just, I get nowadays just so excited to get into those areas where I'm still caught in the lie of separation and scarcity, and like just get a bigger shovel and go digging, because this is life. This is the, like you said, it's the day in, day out, 24-hour cycle journey that these days I'm much more interested in curating and focused in like the moment by moment rather than what am I going to get for doing, like the in order to, which puts us in the future, like this is all in order to something. And in that
Right.
moment, it just evaporates the joy in the process. And so wonderful. So thank you for sharing that piece. It's a learning that I still continue to get every day for myself.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I see how incredible it can be when that's what being in the zone is. I think it's like when
Mhm.
you're doing the audition, or you're on stage, or you're in performance, and some part of you, the identity, this, let's say the small self, the ego self that you identify with, actually disappears into like the greater pool, the greater consciousness. I mean, it's why theater is such a miraculous communion of an experience. You were saying you loved it too. It was your first love. Like, it's that holy. I mean, and it speaks to a kind of almost religious yearning, non-denominational religious yearning. It satisfies upon that, like, forget about me for a moment. Let me walk a mile in somebody else's shoes and literally connect with the field. So I wonder, does that have anything to do with your stepping into the path of becoming a spiritual psychologist and going back to school? And like, when did that start to become
Well,
inevitable?
well, I needed to know more of what my clients went through,
Oh my
so
God. The compassion of that. I just have to earmark, like, the empathy and compassion of that just took my breath away.
I took an acting class with, at that time, a friend of mine who was not allowed to say that I was an agent. So I came in and I was actively a part of the class.
Wow.
On days when we weren't in class, I was doing scenes with, the actors and stuff. And I really, and again, I got my BFA in theater.
Yeah.
So, but I was reminded, what really goes in to honing your craft and what one must do to kind of surrender to a greater expression. And it's difficult. You have to really be focused in doing it, and you have to make a commitment. And every time that I was in that class, I was nervous and I was scared, but I would get up on stage and I would do my scenes and I would really feel what it is to go through that process. And it really kind of expanded my awareness as to have empathy for what my clients go through. And the rejection, especially when one knocks it out of the park and it doesn't go your way. And being in that class made me realize that you know, a number of people can do it beautifully. It's not about you. It's about, you know, the creator and the writer and the producers who are looking at it, who have somewhat of a vision. And if you're on the path of that vision, and if you're not, and if you're able to create a different vision that they're all in tune to, but it's never about you, especially if you perform well. And and I think that has always been such a hard thing to really understand when you're out there putting yourself on the line like that.
How did you handle that in class when what would you tell yourself when the nerves and the sort of insecurity about it and
I put it into the work. I just put it into the work. I just
yeah.
allowed the nerves to go into the work. If at times, if I was really uncomfortable, if somebody laughed when they weren't supposed to, I would just kind of laugh along with them. Trying not to get out into the fourth wall and maintaining what it is, but just going with how I was feeling. I remember what Dustin Hoffman said. I made one mistake that turned into me getting nominated for an Oscar. The mistakes are what's the beauty. What you think is the mistake is because you're you're not holding on when you made a mistake. You're not gripping. And all of a sudden you just go with the flow of whatever that kind of comes out. And sometimes that's where the real beauty lies. So that's
Wow.
what I did. And I
Wow.
felt like, I'm already up here. I can't really, how much more I'm not going to embarrass myself. I'm taking a risk.
Yeah.
So I always felt really proud of myself for going up there. And I was really enabled to see
Yeah.
what a difficult thing that actors put themselves through
Mm.
on a daily basis, whether in a job or in not a job. It's very vulnerable.
Right.
It's and it takes a lot of precision because, it's like when I have interviews, I'm always so dumbfounded that an actor who maybe hasn't seen the show that you have an interview for didn't watch the show so they can see the tone of the show or they can see how the show is being, seen.
Hmm.
And I always make sure to say, if you haven't seen the show, let me know so we can send you a link to the show.
Yeah.
Because how do you do something without seeing the show?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just, and that basically led into also, to be very vulnerable and to be very honest, what really led into my seeking a spiritual balance was the fact I was very successful and the clients were very successful. And
Mm.
I had reached kind of the top of the hill and it was empty. And I really felt empty. And
Wow.
I felt like, wow, is this all there is? I mean, I have the house, I have the Mercedes, I have all that. And I feel awful. I don't feel fulfilled.
Wow.
And I needed to seek out a place that possibly could give me some sort of instruction or navigation into going deeper as to why I don't feel the joy.
Mm.
Because this was everything that I was supposed to be in joy of, and I wasn't in joy of it. And
Mm.
so when I found University of Santa Monica, it was between going to University of Santa Monica and going to a place that you and I both know very well, which was Agape. And I didn't want to go to Agape because of my close friendships with the
Hmm.
people there.
Hmm.
I really wanted to be free of that so I
Mm.
could really be honest and deliberate in feeling that I needed to go deep.
Mm.
And so that's why I went to University of Santa Monica, and it turned out to be incredible.
Wow. I'm right there with you. That's such a sort of revelation that you can only have when it's your time to have it. Like you're working so hard, you're crushing it. You have the Academy Award winners, you're representing the affluence, all the things. And and then you get to this point and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot we didn't come here for a pile of things." But it takes oftentimes collecting a pile of things to grasp that, like on the level. I so relate to that in terms of, early 20s being in the Disney film, a Wes Anderson film with Bill Murray and Kate Blanchett and Willem Dafoe and Jeff Goldblum. And these are these are the people that I'm surrounded by for half a year in Italy. And the disparity between the outside and what's going on the inside is like this magnificent opportunity to go deeper that you took and that eventually I took. I started in with the Landmark Forum and other groups and people and therapists to try to, because misery isn't overstating how it can sometimes feel when, as I was doing, I was I had outsourced my value and my worth. I had decided that I wasn't valuable until somebody else said, "You've got the job." Until somebody else said, "Yep, you're the one." Then I could I could feel good. but I never chose myself. I did not know how to choose myself. And so the disease to please everybody, because I'm after it like an addict. I am after it, chasing it like I need a fix or I'm going to die. I'm going to die because you experience the being
Oh,
separated
absolutely.
from tribe. You actually experience that as imminent death. It's dangerous on a primal level. And so here I am outsourcing my power, approval, joy until someone says, "You're the one." Then I can go, oh.
Yeah.
And it has been, since my brother's passing, like a almost 15-year journey to figure out how to reconstitute myself so that they can do whatever they want out there. I'm okay and you're okay. And by the way, there is no out there, as you said anyway. I am the casting director. I'm the producer. I'm the show. I'm these pages that I'm holding in front, the work of, again, dismantling the lie of separation with self and other, and realizing we're all just one. There's the oneness that connects us all, and tapping into that field. And I'd love to hear what you discovered when you took that deep dive into the
Well,
world that you did.
so much is coming up in this conversation, but it's really coming to kind of removing the masks.
Yeah.
You had your masks. I had my masks, my tap dancing to get clients. I'm the greatest. As I'm thinking, what, really? It's removing your masks to finally be in alignment with the greatness and the beauty of who you are. And it took me forever. I
Mm.
mean, it's not like I'm 100% there, but I'm certainly a whole lot more there than I was, where
Yeah.
I can now be in a group of people and not have to say anything, and I'm comfortable.
Mm.
Whereas I used to have to say so much because I felt like, I have to be a part of whatever's going on, and I have to show you that I know, and I have to show you that I am, and I have to. And now I don't care. I'm really comfortable knowing that I know who I am. I know how successful I've been. I know how to do it. And I do like you to validate that. But the bigger truth is, for the first time, I'm validating it for myself.
Wow.
And it took me a long time, Robbie, to get to that point. And it was like when you say that like we never had the kind of overlap of spiritual and business. I can remember so clearly that we had such an informative connection, which I think for me was always my connection. My deepest connection to you was at that time of your brother.
Mm.
And and I saw how you facilitated that and how you went through it. I mean, it makes me very emotional,
Good.
because it was beautiful, and it showed who you are as a human and as a sister, and it really moved me, and it always connected me.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I have likewise always felt that connection and that kind and quality of connection with you, and that support and love that you provide so uniquely in my life, and especially so uniquely in my life as an actor in the industry
It's
nowadays.
never
Yeah.
ever, but it's never ever about whether you're good enough. You know, I wouldn't be working with people who aren't good enough. The people that I represent, including you, are wonderfully talented. Who knows why it doesn't go your way? But it doesn't matter. That's almost another reason why I went to get my spiritual counseling, because it doesn't matter. Nobody can take away your talent. Nobody can take away your talent. And if you don't get it, I guarantee you it has nothing to do with what you did. It's
Mm.
Visions have to line up. And
Yeah.
when you see what casting goes through in regards, like they have like maybe four top players, they're
Yeah.
very similar
Yeah.
in what they're looking at. And maybe one, dip their hand in a certain way. It's something so, a little nuance that people spark to. It's never about the talent. The talent,
Mm-mm.
if you got to that point, you're there. You're already there. So it's just a matter of when that perfect job comes, and it will. It's when the alignment happens and everything, it comes to you because you're supposed to have it.
It's such a gorgeous relief. Like I just hear you speaking the truth of my heart, and my heart forgets. And the deepest part of me and us, on some level, we know that. But I don't think that information, that wisdom is out there as readily for people. And that you provide that for your fellow human beings is so unique and special, because it's like hearing you say that just now, like blew my mind again about that conversation about parts and casting and being chosen for a part or not. Like I heard that for the first time again. And it like literally stitches my heart back together.
Yeah.
I'm so it is such a miracle that you revolve in the world that you do, when people like myself are looking for love in all the wrong places. That's what they say. And I know that I certainly have been doing that, looking for love and approval in all the wrong places, because trying to get Hollywood to be my lover or reparent me as my father and my mother, give me whatever love I didn't feel like, right? That is dangerous. Trying to get Hollywood to reparent and, and repair.
But I did that too in my own way.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
I would represent actors who I had for 10 years and 11 years, and I'd put them in, you know, that thing that a director came to see it, and it catapulted them to being nominated for an Academy Award, and they went to a bigger agency. And I was like, but you don't love me? We were supposed to be in this together. And it's the same thing, because I chose to stay small. When all the big agencies came at that moment, when we were representing so many people, they were so brilliantly talented and successful, they wanted to merge with us, and my partner and I did not want it. We didn't want to go big. We wanted
Because,
to stay
yeah,
small, and we knew that would probably be the result, that we would lose clients. But you can't tell me that every time it happened, it wasn't a moment of, oh, another abandonment. You had to really work on, I had to really work on, all that unresolved stuff that would, but we did this together. What happened?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you, I was a part of you getting on that path. And, I actually saw one of them just literally 2 weeks ago at a
What was that
party.
like?
Well, it was very healing because I hadn't gone into the party yet. And and he's a humongously big star. And he screamed Belle. And Robbie, he sobbed. He absolutely sobbed. He just started to cry. And I didn't I didn't have to ask him anything. I didn't have to say anything. I just held him. And, there was that part of me that really wanted to say, and then I knew that the greater part of me was like, thank you for the validation, because we did do it. Whether I'm with you or not, I was a part of your getting to that point. And you know what? I need you to cry on my shoulder. I
Mm.
need you to hold me so tight that I can't breathe. And it was very healing. I have to
Wow.
say, it was very
Wow.
healing.
Wow. And I love too that you had that moment and coming around the bend, and it's sort of a full circle moment. And curious why, just Because, you know, the universe is an energetic field. It's not a logical field. It's energetics. It's vibe. It's all vibe and energy, you know, this
Right.
more than anyone. But at the time, you know, you have humongous stars. They're wanting a bigger thing. You wanted to stay more boutique, more
Right.
that was a choice for a particular energetic field that was vibrating inside more a smaller, more boutique, exclusive agency. Where was that choice made? Was that you and your partner to say, you know, we
Always, always. Because I felt like it was very, I didn't want to just be, I wanted to be personal. I wanted to be a
yeah,
part of the creative process. I wanted to, have these conversations. I wanted to be a part of how can I navigate you through the masses and help you to get to that place you really should be and not where you think you're not enough. I wanted to spend time in those conversations. And I knew being with a bigger agency, and I also wanted to represent people that I wanted to represent, that I felt passion for. I didn't want to go to a bigger agency, even though that would have been incredibly monetarily and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't want to go to another agency where I had to work with people that maybe I didn't want to work with, because that would have been a part of it. And sometimes I look back and I think, maybe I should have done it. But, we've been together, my partner and I've been together 50 years, and we're still doing it. And, I think we made the right decision. And for
yeah.
us,
Happy 50th.
so it turned out okay.
Yeah. Bernie Carnell, an amazing
Amazing.
50-year partnership
Yeah.
with
And he's a
Jelana.
he's a
Yes.
good, good human. And Jelana's been with me almost 20 years
Yes.
and a good, good human.
Yeah.
And I want to be around good humans.
Can I get a hell yeah? You know, really, when you like drill it down, I think that's what everybody wants. Like, again, like we go in for auditions, you know, as actors or try to get jobs or for you to try to work with, you know, but really it's like if we can just get present to literally what everyone in the world wants, which is just to feel love. People just want to feel their wholeness. They just want to feel their wholeness. They want
Right.
to feel loved and they want to love something that they love. I like that's kind of it. You know, they want to do what they love to do. They want to love like crazy and they want to be loved like crazy. And I think that's
Right.
I'm noticing that's kind of universal in the human.
But they have to remember one thing
Yes.
that is so vitally important.
Yeah.
It is a job.
Yeah.
And it's so vitally important to have a life that you're able to balance that job. When you
Yeah.
put everything into it, it can't feed you back in all the areas that you must be fed.
Yeah.
So it's so vital that you have other outside interests and to not put so much emphasis on getting that job because you still have a life. You
Yeah.
still have a blooming and fabulous and joy-filled life that absolutely complements that, but doesn't, command you to only prioritize that where you stop expanding in your own consciousness.
I love that so much. Two things about that. The idea, you know, when I think about what it must be like for a casting director, 1,000 times a week when they're casting a movie or a TV show, 1,000 actors come in trying to get something off of them. Like literally like 1,000 people come in trying to get something off them so they can pay their mortgage and feed their children, like all the things. It's almost hard to imagine. Like if I'm the producer, I'm the writer of the show, I'm the casting director. Like when the actor comes in that's actually just there to give. I don't know if that person's totally right for the part or what they had in mind, but they're going to be remembered. as opposed to, you know, we go in as actors like, I need to get something. I'm trying to get, you know, people in life don't enjoy it when people are trying to get stuff off of them. And that
Right.
desperation energy.
Oh
And I
yeah,
notice
it's
in my,
the worst.
it's traumatizing, you know,
Right.
all day, every day, 52 weeks a year. So I keep that in mind. You know, for years now, I've been baking that into my preparation the same way I would sort of like bake a cake. Like if it's your 50th anniversary with Bernie as partners, and I'm like, I'm going to bake them a cake. I'm going to enjoy, like, I'm thinking about how, you know, this gift of a beautiful cake and enjoying putting in the ingredients and tasting it and be like, is this good? Oh, you know, it would be even better. Like the creative process. Like, you know, it would be an even better choice for this character. What if I tried to, or X fill in the blank? And so I'm baking this kind of like, this is the word generosity, you know, is just sort of like wants to lead these days, because all of that, when they taste it, when they see me, when I do the audition, when I show up for the interview, they see that, they smell that, they taste it in the way it was cooked up. And just on a very basic level, like, what a relief when someone isn't there in order to get something. The very nature of being in a place trying to get somewhere else removes the possibility of actually being present in the now of nows. So why did I
Well,
bother? Yeah.
but I think what also does too, which I think we all have been somewhat guilty of, is, let's remove the title. The titles of casting directors or agent or actor or producer or director, because at the end of the day, you know, we're all human and we all have unresolved issues and we all have things. And, who you're auditioning for was probably a nerd in high school who was not, we have our stuff, and hiding behind what it is that we do doesn't take away from the humanity that we are. And I
Mm.
think when we put, like, I can't talk to somebody because of their title, it's so silly because,
Yeah.
you know, if we're thinking that, they're thinking that, we're reflective of what, yeah. So it's like when an actor goes in and thinks, oh, they're people. Casting directors are people, producers are people. They go home and, you know, binge on food or do,
Yeah.
they're just like us. And I think
Yeah.
when we're able to really see that, it allows us to be free.
Yeah. And people that just like us wanna feel good, want
Yeah.
energy in their day, want enthusiasm,
Want to be loved.
want to be loved, want to
Yeah.
love something that they see, you know, that
Yeah.
was cooked up with care. With that, I was thinking about when you said, you know, these labels. So back in May of this year of 2024, I was coming out of a workshop, a summit actually. It was for women entrepreneurs. And, you know, I have an acting school, and most of the women there were not in the world of arts and crafts, but it was a fascinating and very powerful meeting of women from all over who are forging ahead with their passions and their purpose. And I walked out of the summit and I said to the woman that had been sitting next to me, I said, you know, I realized, and don't take this literally because you are my theatrical agent, but I said, I realized I'm not an actor. And she's like, what are you talking about? You're performing in 5 different plays right now, including the one that you just saw and what the Constitution means to me. And I'm doing Tartuffe and I'm doing Repertory, Peter Pan, you know, at the Will Gear Theatricum. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I think I'm a human being that really loves to act. And I think
Mm.
I'm a human being that really loves to teach. And I think I'm a human being that really likes to fill in the blank. And there was such a freedom
Yeah.
removing
I,
this,
I love that. Again, you're giving me another one. I love that. That's beautiful.
the removal of the label, which I can see was diminishing to my spirit
Yeah.
in a way. it's glorious and infinitely wonderful to be an actor, but to identify with that as like the thing you are kind of
Right.
cuts off the more that you actually are as a human being,
I,
So,
I to- totally agree with you. I mean, it's why I always felt a little weird because in the beginning of my day, I had a food issue, and I would go to, Overeaters Anonymous, and we would always have to kind of this 12-step program, and we'd always have to qualify. And I would get up and I would be like, "Hi, I'm Bill, I'm an overeater." And I thought, well, that doesn't define me. That just doesn't feel right. I'm a whole lot more than that. That is for me in the moment, but
yeah,
it's not who I am, and I don't want to be identified just as that.
yeah,
So I like being identified as a human.
yeah. How do we, when we start to own our wholeness, our infinite potential, when we start to like own the magnificence of our once in a cosmos selves, what's that balance of, for so many years, I could not appreciate anything that I was doing that was good for the world. And you know me for over 20 years and probably know me as a person that comes into the room and gives I smile a lot. I'm high energy. Some people call it high strung, high vibe, whatever. And there's a lot of energetic exchange, there have been in our interactions. I have never been able to be responsible for anything. I was never able to be responsible for anything good that I was putting out there, though there was feedback in the world, which was good, great, even getting jobs. But I never was like in touch with ever, like, you're good, you're good. You did something like that was, I could not acknowledge the part of myself that was constantly, because it was trying to get people to love me, because I didn't know how to love myself. It was a deeper problem. I couldn't even like myself. So here I
Right.
am trying to get people to love me. So all of that energy, though it was curated and developed over time to be something that really did make people feel good and alive and happy and joyful and inspired, for so long, I couldn't appreciate that I was doing any of that because it was a compensation for feeling like nobody loved me, that I was going out there to try to get people to love me. And what a profession to choose, the world of acting, which is on the daily, trying to get people to say yes, and their yes is love. And without that yes, I'm an unlovable, disgusting thing that should be left on the side of the road to die. And I know that sounds dramatic, but there is a primal sense of that it is a life and death conversation with approval and
Well,
with
it was
love.
just, I think at that point you just weren't ready to go deep. So you deflect. And,
Yeah.
it's kind of like what we all do, when we don't want to really lean into what it is that needs to be nurtured and resolved. And I think when you're capable of I'll give you an example. I had to do my thesis at University of Santa Monica for my degree. So they said if you get a Federal Express package of your thesis, it means you didn't go deep enough. And there was a part of me that said, damn, I bet you I'm going to get my thesis back because I know how to surface it and have you, think that I'm all that. But I think they're good. If they're hip, they'll probably send me back my thesis and I'm going to have to go deeper. And I remember driving into my driveway and damned if that Federal Express was lying on my porch. And I got out of the car and it was from USM and there was my thesis paper. And I thought, okay, Belle, it's time to go deep.
It's time now.
And I did. And it was amazing because somebody called me out. Somebody said, your tap dance didn't work this time, babe. You got a whole lot more to kind of like lean into. Why are you kind of deflecting and not owning? And lots of sobs, lots of tears, and lots of regret because,
Yeah.
I felt a whole lot of stuff, but I went there. And that's the only way we can do it. We have to do the work. We have to feel the pain. We have to sit in it. We have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the joy comes through that.
Yes, it does. Underneath the rage, underneath the
The
grief,
hurt.
which is under the
Yeah.
rage,
Oh,
is
totally.
that profundity of equanimity and peace and
Right.
joy. But it takes going into the deepest,
This is a
darkest.
classroom.
Yeah.
This is not the real deal. It's the classroom,
Yeah.
and the universe is constantly throwing it back to us if we didn't up level our lesson.
Yeah.
And you always see it when you're back in the pattern, the universe saying, come on, babe, you got to up level it. You didn't go deep enough. And that's why we're here. We're
Yeah.
here to release it. So when we go to that next stage, we don't have to come back. We don't
Yeah.
have to do, because this is very primal where we're at now.
For
It's
sure.
primal how we perceive things. It's primal how we give to our friends. Everything is primal. And it's some days are better than others, and some days we're in the of it. And that's
Yeah.
just fact. And
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's always an opportunity to release and let go and let God, release and let go and let God on a
You
daily
just,
basis.
you answered my question, which was how do we, once we do start to own our gloriousness, our fullness, our wholeness, once we do actually come into regulation with our central nervous systems and do that processing, how do we not then become full of ourselves? But it's the answer you was sort of in the question that if it's to show people, look at the work I've done, look at how I look at me now, right? Because there's a fine line, which might not be too fine, between transformation of a human being and an ego trip.
Totally. Yeah, I think transformation, you just are.
Yeah,
You become the example, not manipulating it. You're just comfortable in your skin.
yeah,
And I think that when your feeling tone is in alignment, you get it.
yeah,
You don't have to go out there and try to have you love me. You love yourself.
yeah.
You're enough. And when you feel that way, it really shifts everything.
You have found that in your world. Like it's a
I have
technicolor universe. Yeah,
Yeah, I have more found it. It's not like every day I wake up and glory be, glory God. It's a work in progress on a daily basis. It just is. It's constant prayer, it's constant focusing, it's constant meditating, it's constant making a choice to be a good human today. I
mm.
mean, it's constant. You always have to stay on top of it, because I do feel a little tapping all the time that says, "Hey, you want to go down to the abyss today?" Not today, thanks.
Not
Because if I do that, the speed of how that is facilitated is amazing to me, how quick I can go down the rabbit hole. And I don't want to do that.
so vice versa. What do you share with the people that you help and facilitate? How do you, once you've made the choice, I'm not going down that pathway, what do you do? You mentioned meditation, you mentioned prayer. What does that look like a little
When
bit
I
for you?
counsel people, truly, I listen to what they're not saying, because what they're saying usually is something that's keeping me at bay. And I have to go deeper into what they're not saying to see what patterns are very prominent
Yeah.
in their consciousness that they are playing with. And they're testing me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I got this together. You don't. There's patterns that are still need to be kind of looked at. Well, I think you don't.
Yeah.
So it's a very individual process of really listening to what is not being said. Then I can go on an individual basis and kind of like offer and encourage, but I have to know what that is, because other than that, it's all very unique to
Yeah.
ourselves. I mean, I never know what I'm getting into. I just know that I pray before I go into it and
And how,
ask God to,
yeah.
I just
So
ask God. I just say, God, prepare me for whatever it is that I need to kind of unfold today, and please bring light to the situation and to the person that I'm being able to communicate with.
is that how you personally stand in the crossroads when to the left is that day that goes down the drain because I'm
God,
defaulting?
take this.
How do you get
I
yourself?
surrender.
You just say,
I give this to you. I give this to you. I do not want to deal with this. I give this to you. Or I will do, this is one of my favorite ones. I always go to the universe, halt, halt. And I can feel a shift. It's my favorite. I will go, halt.
what are you halting? What are you talking to? What are you saying?
Whatever is coming forward that is not in alignment with where I am, I want it stopped. Stop.
I have chills everywhere. I'm vibrating with the truth of your revelatory superpower and the way that you literally activate that superpower. That's incredible.
And it's so simple. The simplicity of owning that moment of saying, no, this is my journey. I am the architect of my destiny, and I am halting this right now. And it works for me, if I want to binge, if I want to overeat, if I want to, call somebody that I shouldn't call, at anything, I just halt. So it allows me for a moment to just take a breath because we forget to take a breath.
So that's your next
And it
moment.
allows,
You
yeah,
deploy the halt, and then the next
yeah.
moment to get back into right-mindedness, you breathe and then
It's
rest.
it's not unlike dog training. Seriously,
Yeah, yeah.
if you watch Caesar Milan, he's so great. But when a dog is anxious, he literally has to tap them into getting out of that anxiety so then they can take direction. But if you're dealing with a very anxious dog, he doesn't know what to do unless you stop it.
Mm,
It's the same kind of a concept. You snap your brain into getting out of that thought process that will eventually bring you into, that rabbit hole that is very destructive.
yes. That is so useful to hear that. It's a methodology, which is, it sounds, I mean, it's simple, but it's like brilliant and profound in its simplicity. And also, I've just never heard it that way, like a command to
I
universe,
command. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, I would like this to go on for 4.5 more hours, but I know everyone has a life to live, but that was just such an amazing piece. So for people listening, a lot of whom are creatively inclined, a lot of actors, artists, but also human beings from all walks of life, the people that maybe you have counseled and spoken to, what in a world where there is a lot of divide currently and a lot of suffering globally and on the personal level, what do you want to give to? What do you want to give to the world? What do you want to give to people? What do you want people to know? What do you want them to hear that could help a little bit?
It's a very hard question,
Yeah.
especially when my heart is broken from the election. It's just a very sad time for us. I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't know. My heart is broken that so many people voted for him and really think that he's for them. So I just hold the space. That's all I can do because I'm hurting so from it too,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to heal so I can be more of a light. So
How do
what
we
do I
hold?
do?
Yeah. How do we
Well,
hold the
I hope
space?
I go to agape. I lean towards hearing and getting and receiving from my spiritual leaders and who I admire a lot to help me with how to talk to people that voted differently than I did,
Yeah.
that feel very unsafe to me. How do I still stay in the loving? And how do I not get really angry that I feel that all of a sudden now they are unsafe humans to be around? It's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. And yet I know from the deepest part of myself that love is all we have. I know that. And it's really hard to stay in the loving, but that's the practice right now for me
Yeah.
is to on a daily stay in the loving.
Belle, you are the loving. You are the love. That's such a the wisdom of that. Like, I hear you saying these words, and I hear your 90-year-old version of you coming through with this high octane, high level question: how do I stay in the loving? And I love that you started with, I don't know. I don't know, which is why it makes a difference to actually ask. Like, that's the prayer. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Please, God, help me. How do I stay in the loving so that I can be the real me, ordained to be a light in a world where there is a lot of darkness?
Yep.
How can I still be that light? And I love what you
Yeah.
share, that we don't do it alone. We go to our teachers, we go to our teammates, we go to our partners, we go to our friends, we go to the wise woman in ourselves. What would my 90-year-old self say to me about this? And as you said, it is a practice. I want to make it a practice to have these kinds of conversations with you all the
Love
time.
it. I love it. And I
And
love what you're doing.
thank you, Belle. It's for this. It's for this. It's for you
No
and me and
question.
this. And where can people find you that want to reach out, or seeking counsel, or could use some love light
You
in
know,
their world? Yeah.
they can just call. You have the number. They can just call, and I just kind of do referrals.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that's
So
really
so anyone listening that wants to work with Belle, have a session with her, get in touch with me.
yeah.
You can find me on social media, Facebook, and they could also, is there a platform where people might be able to direct message you?
Just yeah, you can text me on my phone
Yeah, yeah,
and we'll go from there. Yeah,
that sounds great. I really appreciate modern telecommunications and these kinds of platforms when they connect hearts and
absolutely.
souls. I really do. So
No
get in touch with
question.
me. I'll get you in touch with Bella, and we'll party on from there. So I can't thank you enough.
I love you.
I love you. It's Sunday today when we're recording this, and this has been a godly
Unique. Lovely.
and
I loved it.
experience. I loved it so much, and I can't wait for more, more, more. And thank you.
And
Thank you.
always start out your podcast with dancing.
Will do. Will do. Here's to it. Here's to dancing in the conversation of life.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. God bless you, Bella. Thank you.
Bye, honey.
Bye. Bye. Well, wow. That was sensational. Belle Zwerdling, yes. If you're interested in having a one-on-one session with her or meeting with her, get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch. But wow, some of the takeaways. How do we lead with love? How do I remain loving? And offering that up as a daily prayer, as a daily meditation, as a practice to get in touch with the wholeness of who we are and the oneness of the universe. We're also talking about taking responsibility and ownership of our worth and value, and that it takes something. We might not wake up on the daily like, I'm good to go, whole, perfect, and complete, but rather we can stand in the crossroads and choose again and again toward the path of peace and ease and equanimity and lovingness, and so many more things, which I'll put in the show notes. But what a gift to share this time in cyberspace with Belle and with you all who are listening in. I feel these lies of separation and scarcity just melt away the more we connect like this, and the more we talk about it, the really of what's going on. Life just starts to shimmer. So thank you all. God bless you and yours, and have an amazing rest of your day. Mwah! There it is. Wow, what an exhilarating exchange with Belle Zwerdling. Her wisdom, it's like a radiant tapestry weaving inspiration, authenticity, and practical insider insights and gems. Keep this marvelous journey up by joining our acting workshops. To register and stay connected, reach out to me at Robyn, ROBYN, at cohenactingstudio.com. And if you enjoy the conversation, I invite you to subscribe to the podcast, share it with your friends and family, and leave a review. It would mean the world, and it helps us reach even more fabulous souls and creatives like yourselves. Also, for more behind the scenes action, follow me on Instagram at Robyn Cohen Acting Studio. In appreciation for all of that, I made a special audio gift to elevate your days and bolster your sense of power and peace. It's called 5 Proven Ways to Peace and Power. Because this really is your moment to bask in creativity and fortify your soul with joy and with strength. Till next time, yours truly, Robyn C.